Okay guys, nothing new today. If you look at the assignment here, it's stuff we've already done. It's just, call it extra practice. So 6 problems just to sort of bring together the ideas of the week. And it's not even all the ideas, it's just a certain portion of them. So, I mean, technically the topic is graphing, although I'm not having you draw any graphs. We're just going to find the various characteristics or parameters of these functions. So for the first two, amplitude, period length, phase shift, vertical shift. The next two, period length, phase shift, vertical shift, because amplitude doesn't apply. Actually, for those next 6. So, or I'm sorry, those next 4, total of 6. So if we look up here, just summarized some of the notes from earlier on. We first covered sine and cosine. So what I did is I made up sort of generic looking equations. So amplitude is A, it's the number in front of sine or cosine. I actually don't like that highlighter there, but okay, let me change colors. So amplitude is the number in front, and if it's negative, don't worry about it. Amplitude is the positive version of that number. Vertical shift, I put that second because it's the next easiest one. It's just this number here. Remember that it can be squeezed in front instead of at the end, so be prepared for that. So positive or negative. Positive is an up vertical shift, negative is down. For period length, you have to use a little formula, 2 pi divided by the b value right here. And remember, when you divide by a fraction, you actually flip and multiply it. And then for phase shift, you take the whole thing in parentheses, set that equal to 0, and solve it. And once you solve for x, if it's positive, it moves to the right, and if it's a negative, it moves to the left. So there are all the notes on sine and cosine. For secant and cosecant is the exact same notes, so I didn't write them again, except there's no amplitude. We don't have amplitude as a consideration. There's still possibly an a value in the equation, but you don't need to extract that and make some sort of a statement like a does this. It has an effect, but it's not germane to this particular worksheet. And then for tangent and cotangent, the same notes as above apply. Again, no amplitude. There can be an a value, but it doesn't really matter. It matters. I mean, it affects the shape of the graph, but it's nothing that you have to comment on. And then there's a different formula for period length. So instead of 2 pi over b, whenever you do a tangent or a cotangent, it's just pi over b. So that's the important big difference. The periodic nature or the repetitive pattern of tangent and cotangent, it repeats twice as often as sine and cosine. So it has half the period length. Obviously 2 pi, pi is half as big as 2 pi. So just, I'm kind of getting into theory here. Not that important. Just make sure that when you do tangent or cotangent problems, when you get to the period length part, you're doing pi divided by b instead of 2 pi divided by b. So I'm not working out any examples. I want you to do all 6 problems, evens and odds, please. There's only 6. Show any applicable work. I know that for amplitude and vertical shift, there is no applicable work. I don't expect you to do any sort of extra writing to sort of make it look like you did your work. I expect to see a little bit of work on period length, but it might not even be that much, and a little bit of work on phase shift. And that's all I really expect to see on these 6 problems. Of course, the answers are here for you to check yourself when you're done before you turn it in. A lot of you are being really good about getting yourself a 9 out of 10, 10 out of 10, 8 out of 10, whatever. And that's fine. Keep on doing that. Although I would say, I don't know, probably 90% of people are not putting a grade on the paper. And so I am just assuming a 10 out of 10. So if you're happy with a 10 out of 10 and you just leave it blank, that's fine. I'll assume no grade means 10 out of 10. If you are still grading yourself, then absolutely keep on doing that. Okay, I guess that's about all I have to say. So do this last assignment today and then try to have whatever good weekend it's possible to have. Talk to you later.